Can you all hear me? I guess you are.
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah. We are 25 years, our beginning of the 25th year today. We'll be fully 25 years old on September 2nd of 2023, a year from now. And in this short period of time, IIIT has achieved something that no other institution in India has done. It is ranked among the top 10, maybe even top 5 institutions of technology to be in the whole country. Neither Osmania University nor Andhra University, no other institution in either in Telangana or Andhra have achieved the same status. The question is, how did we get there? What happened? How did this whole institution, which came out of nowhere, got created? And what is the background, and what is the prehistory? So I happen to be there at the beginning, so I can share with you information some of you may not even know, many of you may not have even been born by that time. So that's my plan for this morning. So to begin, distinguished chief guest, Dr. G.N. Rao, eminent director of IIIT, Dr. P.J. Narayanan, our distinguished founding spirit, Dr. Srini Raju. He is not yet doctor, I don't know, maybe he has an honorary degree, but he will soon be, I'm sure. But the important thing is there are many people in the audience who have contributed to this eminence of IIIT. And today I want to share with you the prehistory of how we got here. So those of you who were around in 1995 and even before will remember that that was a period of great excitement and what we call dot-com bubble. And what caused that was in 1991, the World Wide Web was released by the creator, Tim Berners-Lee, and the CERN organization in Europe, which was responsible for. And they created it mainly so that physicists could share information, documents among themselves. And the basic model was very simple: publish and subscribe. Anyone that has something important to share, they can publish on the web, and subscribe. Anyone that wants to read it can read it. And that led to a whole set of technical problems. And how do you find out what is there that has been published? And so initially, a couple of companies, Yahoo and Lycos, were built to create an internet atlas of things. And by the way, all of this World Wide Web was created on the foundations built by the internet protocols, TCP/IP, that was formalized, I think, in 79 or 73 or something, I'm forgetting. And that itself was based on the ARPANET, which was created in 1969. I was very lucky to have been in the middle of all of these things, because I went to Stanford as a graduate student in 1963. And I remember very clearly when we connected our ARPANET connection, Stanford connection, in 1969, 68, 69. So that's the background of the World Wide Web, kind of creating all this irrational exuberance, it was called at that time. And in that, one event happened that truly took everyone in the world by surprise. In 1994, a company called Netscape was formed 1 year, and by Jim Clark and Mark Andreessen, who before that was at University of Illinois, built a web browser called Mosaic, I believe, Mosaic. So anyway, they both started this company, and a small group of people, less than 100, maybe 50 or so, built a Netscape browser, web browser, and released it for free for anyone. And soon after releasing it, with zero revenues, nothing, they went public. And originally they were going to kind of sell each share at $14, and then there was so much interest, they doubled the price to $28. And by the end of the day, the stock market, kind of took off, and it was at $75 with no revenues, no profits, no nothing. And that was the kind of a mystery for most conventional investors in the thing. And that started a whole series of other dot-com companies to be created. And it was a major event at that time. And the fever caught up to India too. And it so happened we were lucky to have, as a chief minister, Mr. Chandrababu Naidu, who was a visionary and had his own ideas on what we should do as a country. And he was also, I believe, a member of the ruling government, NDA, under Mr. Bajpai. Anyway, and so there was a lot of discussion, and he invited Bill Gates to Hyderabad, who came, and he started using PowerPoint, and I was kind of amazed because I came into Hyderabad at that time, 97 and 98, and he was very proudly using PowerPoint. From what I know, he did not create it. It was created by Sudan, his special secretary for IT. But anyway, he was using PowerPoint to explain things. And there was also, at the same time, a number of IT companies were started, like TCS was already there since the middle, and Infosys and so on. All of them, Devang Mehta, who was the, who created this NASCOM and became the first president, was kind of in Hyderabad, and together in this cauldron of activity in India, they came up with the idea we need to kind of create an institution which can train high quality professional in the information technology. And out of that came the idea of a IIIT, Information Institute of Information Technology, and an original society that to host IIIT was created by a society registered by Sri Srinirazu and Devang Mehta, who is no longer with us, and Ram Mainampati. Three of them were the co-signers of the society at that time. And so this was all done, I believe, at the instigation of the chief minister, because they wanted to start a IIIT. They didn't know how to do it and what to do. And we were very fortunate at that time to have two visionary IAS officers, Mr. R. Chandrasekhar and Mr. Ajay Sahani, both of whom were not only knowledgeable in information technology and computers and so on, but were actually providing significant conceptual and visionary leadership in the AP government. So with So Mr. Chandrababu Naidu asked them to say, you create this institution and get it started. And they basically said, if we created it like every other university, it will never, amount to anything. So they wanted to make it completely autonomous with no, any kind of no links or no control from any bureaucratic machinery in the government, which turns out to be the big problem for most of the other IIITs and other institutions that have been started. They have some umbilical cord to the government who still can control what they do. So it is not true that the government did not provide support. It turns out the land that IIIT is on is about 65 acres or so, and the buildings, original buildings that are still there, were all built for the High Court of Andhra Pradesh, who did not want to use it, did not want to move far away from the center of Hyderabad in the boondocks. And so that was given on a rental or a lease of 1 rupee per year. And that turns out to be a non-trivial amount, of support from the government. And all of this came about because Mr. Chandrasekhar and Mr. Sahani were able to kind of conceive of a way of doing things legally within the government without giving cash or without giving anything to IIIT. At the same time, I got a call from Mr. Chandrababu Naidu. I was in the USA, and said, we are starting this institution. We want you to be the president. I said, absolutely not. I can't be the president of the thing because, I'm already fully employed and doing other things. This was the time I was the dean of the School of Computer Science at Carnegie Mellon, and also on the President's Information Technology Advisory Board, playing in a key role. Later on, I became a co-chairman of the thing. So basically, so I agreed to become the chairman of this founding institution. And I helped to convince Narendra Ahuja, who was a friend of mine at the University of Illinois, to come and take a leave of absence for a couple of years, 2-3 years, to help to get it started. And Rajiv Sangal was already there, and he became Satyam professor at IIIT. And I believe Dr. P.J. Narayan also joined about that time. Anyway, we were lucky to have all the leadership in place, but most importantly, having the other clever idea they came up with is a way of financing this institution was to simply give them all that space, which they could turn around and rent to Cisco and Satyam and other corporate training schools, which would provide regular income. And together they were supposed to we use it to have a completely autonomous institution at IIIT. And that was the time decision was made not to make this a conventional educational institution, but rather a research institution, because both Narendra Ahuja and Rajiv Sangal and P.J. Narayan and others all come from that research environment. And therefore, for them, it was natural to accept the idea that even undergraduates should be doing research, and got the whole institution started. So the other part of that is the deemed university. It turned out, for 2-3 years after the founding, we were just an institute. It was not, there was no act of the Andhra Pradesh government to make it they could have made it the official university, but they said, it has to be, there was no concept of a private university in Andhra at that time. Karnataka had private university, but it took another 30, 40 years since the founding before people could have. I believe now you can have private universities in both in Telangana and Andhra, but at that time not. So we had to wait for MHRD to, kind of give the permission to become a deemed university. And so they wouldn't. They said they adopted the name IIIT, and they started a number of other institutions, IIT Allahabad, IIIT Allahabad, and so on. Then suddenly they declared IIIT is our name, you can't use it. And it turned out it was trademarked and copyrighted by IIIT Hyderabad, but that doesn't matter. It didn't matter because they were in the power. Mr. Murali Manohar Joshi, who's was the minister for MHRD, and he said, nothing doing, you have to change your name. And secondly, of course, because Mr. Chandrababu Naidu was part of the government, he was able to twist the arms of the chief minister, the prime minister, and the minister for MHRD but they said, you must change the name. So fortunately, inspired, we kind of changed it to international. That meant we get to keep the IIIT name intact. And so that's the history of how we became an international institute of information technology. About the same time, Bangalore IIIT was also formed, but it was not a full-fledged undergraduate and graduate institution, and it was not necessary. It was mainly a IT training school, not as a research institution. But it might have changed since then, but at that time, it was primarily deemed to be a training grounds for the professionals. And so the rest is history. Basically, at this point, we're 25 years later, we're going very strong. And I'm happy to announce that I will be stepping down on September 2nd of 2023 and become emeritus chairman, and I'll be available and active, but I won't be the chairman. But I'm sure we'll find distinguished chairman, to take over. And that is the current status. And I'm very happy to be here, kind of starting the 25th year anniversary. Thank you.